Hello, and a warm welcome to the latest episode of the AI Edge podcast presented by Leena AI. Today, I have with me Mr. Narayanan Krishnan, the Vice President of Digital and Data Technologies at Athletico. Thank you so much for joining us today, Narayanan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and I'm looking forward to discussing this topic.
Amazing. To get us started, Narayanan, can you tell our audience what Athletico does and your role at Athletico as well?
Okay. So, Athletico is a physical therapy organization. We provide physical therapy services primarily, and we have around 1,000, almost 1,000 clinics within the US. And we are not in all the states, but we are there in majority of the states within the US. And my responsibilities within Athletico include patient experience, marketing automation, and business intelligence. I'm responsible for the patient-facing digital technologies within Athletico.
Love it. So you're basically taking Athletico to the next level of digital interaction with patients.
You can say that.
Love it. Love it. So, welcome, Ryan. We'll just directly get into it. So, Agentic AI is all the buzz today. Um, in your experience of 29 plus years, having been, doing IT and transformation, and, you also mentioned you have certification in security, in information security as well. Like all of this that's happening right now over the last 2 years, thanks to Gen AI, Agentic AI, LLMs, what are the top things in this industry that you think, in the healthcare industry specifically, because you have spent the last 5 odd years with Athletico, that in that industry, what do you think are the most impactful use cases that are getting built that could really change, either the patient interaction or any internal efficiencies in healthcare at large?
Yeah, so healthcare, before we talk about the healthcare, I would like to talk about the digital transformation journey itself,
Uh-huh.
how AI is changing the digital transformation journey. So, Agentic AI certainly is a game changer in the digital transformation journey because it shifts AI from being reactive to being proactive and autonomous. So, if you look at it until now, AI has been mostly reactive. You feed in data, it gives you insights, or maybe it automates a task here and there. But agentic AI, it actually goes beyond that. It takes you to the next level. We are talking about AI that is more proactive. It can make decisions on its own. It can take the initiative, and it can carry out complex tasks across different systems. So it acts more like a digital coworker and
Yeah.
a digital teammate than just a tool. So, now let's get to how does it accelerate transformation? And I can talk about few examples in various industries, including healthcare.
Sure.
So, in finance, as an example, instead of we all know about the expenses. In finance, instead of just flagging an unusual expense, an AI agent could go ahead and investigate it. It could pull data from different systems, understand the context, and even draft a resolution all on its own. So that is a very good use case within the finance industry where you can ask the agentic AI to pull data from multiple systems, adapt, and then resolve a problem, right? So it's a complete workflow. In healthcare, which is my focus area, these agents can manage the entire patient journeys.
Hmm.
So if you look at a patient journey, it's not just about booking an appointment.
Right.
That's where we are right now. But you can not only book an appointment, but you can send reminders, you can coordinate workflows, make sure everything is compliant. And so, what does this do? This takes away a lot of this micromanagement that we currently do with humans, and it takes that information out of their plates, and it gives them more time to spend on other things. So similarly, if you look at retail, so retail, I have experience on the retail side as well. When I think about what are the things that we can accomplish with agentic AI within the retail environment, it's like you could have agents that are constantly watching customer behavior, uh,
Right.
inventory levels, and marketing performance. And then actually, when you launch those personalized campaigns, you can literally launch those in real time. You don't have to wait for someone to press the go button.
Hmm.
It can adapt, it can understand all this, and then it can fire those personalized campaigns. Now, these are very powerful because the agents in all the scenarios, the common theme is they can work across agents can work across multiple departments. They can learn, they can improve, they can adapt as they go. So this helps with the reduction of the bottlenecks. It improves speed to value, and it also frees up the human to focus on more strategic work.
That's very, very interesting points you brought up across finance, healthcare, and retail, Narayanan. So, what fascinated me about retail is that you're basically saying that now with retargeting has been like the gold standard of
Mhm,
you know conversions in generally in
mhm.
retail till now, especially e-commerce. But you're saying now that there's going to be a level beneath that. Basically, we get like we can write retargeting on a person level. um, of course you won't know who the person is, but like based on their interactions with different digital assets across like different social media slash, you're basically creating the next advertisement to be showed to Narayanan on the fly. Of course you won't know who Narayanan, the agent will not know whether Narayanan is Narayanan or not, but based on their like past activities and interactions, you would like create a new ad and place it in front of Narayanan right there and then. uh, I think this seems to be extremely exciting for the future.
Yeah, and certainly, and that too, these things you can do without manual intervention,
Mm.
because right now you have a lot of marketing folks actually doing this work,
Yeah,
and these some of these are automated, and they are automated in silos, right? Certain things are automated, but what agentic AI does is it actually gets you the entire workflow. It
yeah,
can work across the workflows, and it can retarget ads to your point, and it can also look at the conversion rates and also adapt itself.
yeah.
And over time, it will learn the processes of the organization, and it will adapt to those processes as well. So it's going to be very powerful in the retail industry for sure.
Wow, this seems to be the future of
Yep.
targeting for sure. You mentioned finance in the first comment, right? Like I think that's a topic we get asked about a lot, and I spend a lot of time thinking about, right? Like I think you mentioned about workflows and like the entire workflow being automated. I think internal enterprise workflows go touching across all in every industry and touching across the front office, middle office, and back office, all of it. I think is going to exactly go through a lot of disruption, just like you said about retail. I think it's going to be across the board everywhere. Have you seen anything, or are you seeing anything in the market around middle office or back office as well, where you think you mentioned finance already, but any other use cases that you think that can deliver significant operational improvements for enterprises?
Yeah, so when you look at the agentic AI workflows, they are really redefining how enterprise operates, and we are just beginning to see the full potential, right? So the most of the use cases that you will see, it benefits the most who tend to be involved in complex coordination,
Mhm,
decision making, and cross functional collaboration. So
mhm.
things that traditionally required a lot of human intervention and going back and forth, those are going to be enhanced using agentic AI workflows. Now, when we talk about finance specifically, some of the use cases that I've seen is accounts payable or forecasting. So what a AI agent can do is it can actually process invoices, match them to the purchase orders, spot issues, and even loop in vendors or internal approvers, which currently is done manually. In fact, I did one of those use cases like 2 days back. I did it manually. So
Wow.
I see that these could be transformational within the finance industry. And what is cool is that over time, it learns your company's processes, like I mentioned. So it gets smarter and more accurate the more it works.
Yeah.
And the other example that I would say is in the supply chain. When you look at the supply chain, it can, from a supply chain perspective, there are logistics, there are distribution strategies, there are procurement. So agentic AI can monitor the demand, right? One of the use cases that I could see is they could monitor the demand, they could look at the weather, they could look at the logistics disruption, they could look at the inventory levels within the organization. And these are all in real time. It can look at it in real time, and then it can make those proactive adjustments to procure or to change the distribution strategies in real time. So these are all key operational improvements across all these examples. And these examples, what does it tell you? All these examples, it is autonomy at scale.
Right.
So instead of having siloed automation for specific tasks, you now have AI agents that can manage the entire workflows, adapt to changing conditions, and escalates only when needed.
Yeah. No, I think great point, Ryan. And so, it's funny you mentioned about finance and AP. I think AR and AP both are, see, nobody did their undergrad thinking that, imagining that they're going to get up, they're going to grow up and get a list of 40 invoices
Yeah,
green, and then they'll have to call people to get money in the bank account, right?
yeah.
So I think that there are some of these job roles that absolutely don't require, that should not have been, like, humans should not be doing them, period. Like, I think that
Mhm,
like, I think we at Leena directly, like, with our customers, they've seen success with, like, IT ops, HR ops, and ARAP kind of finance, entry level roles. Like, I think those are things that humans should never do, and our customers are very happy about it. So but I think on your supply chain point,
mhm,
uh, right, so there are two type bucket of use case, right? AR use cases that are things that humans or workflows humans are doing today, like an ARAP agent would probably do 3 or 5 workflows all day long, right?
mhm, mhm,
And they should not be doing it, right? It's boring, it's extremely boring, right? Like, and
mhm,
should be doing it. And on the other hand, what the supply chain one and even the retail examples, the consumer front office
mhm,
one mentioned, I think those are things that have now become possible because of AI, right? They were probably not even possible because humans just can't process that amount of information in one go, right?
mhm,
So
mhm,
what I'm hearing is that for the listeners of this podcast, the takeaway is that there are going to be two buckets of use cases that come out. One
mhm,
is going to be things that are just humans should not be doing them. So they're boring, repetitive things that humans are doing, forced to do today because there's no other option. So that AI agents will take away. And the
mhm.
second one, I think, which is also very exciting, is things that humans can't do because there's just too much information involved. Like you
Correct.
said, the weather, checking inventory levels, checking, macroeconomic issues like tariffs, and then
Mhm,
constantly taking decisions every second, like
correct.
every second it's taking. So those use cases that were never possible because of the lack of human uh, possibilities now certainly become possible. So I think that's a very good insight, Narayan, and thanks to you for that. Quickly changing gears, right? Like, I know you also lead the data technologies at Athletico, right? So
Mhm,
um, for AI to work, and some of the use cases that we've talked about, like finance, retail, all healthcare, uh, cleanliness, availability of data is one of the things that all of the leaders that I speak to always talk about.
mhm,
Um, how do you, as a leader of that practice within your own organization today, and in your overall experience, how do you think about, or what's your advice about, keeping data clean and the best practices that enterprises should follow to ensure that their AI models have access to clean, accurate, reliable data?
mhm. Yeah, it's a great question actually, and it's important to address the data aspect of it because I hear a lot of individuals talk about AI governance and things like that. But the starting point is data. So look at data first because data is the foundation of any AI system. And without quality data, even the most advanced model will fail to deliver value. So for enterprises looking to deploy AI at scale, ensuring that data quality and integrity isn't just a technical requirement, enterprises should think it is a strategic imperative, because some of the best practices that I would recommend are, first, start with a strong data governance framework. Because when you're talking about AI, your base foundation is data governance. That means you need to have clear ownership, accountability, policies around data collection, access, usage. So it's not just about the tools, it's about the culture of having that data quality. Everyone in the organization needs to understand the importance of data quality and their role in maintaining it, because majority of the time you miss that. So that is my first point around data governance framework. The second point is, it is imperative that you need to automate your data validation and cleaning wherever possible. So now this is the use case where, or this is the step where you use AI for AI, right? So you use AI to identify the anomalies, the duplicates, and the missing values in your data set. So build like data observability pipelines that automatically cleans, tags data, so that even before it gets to the model training phase, your data is cleansed. So that saves time and prevents bad data. So that is the second best practice that I would say. The third one is, it's important to prioritize data lineage and transparency. So you need to know where your data comes from, how it has been transformed, who touched it. And it's very important in regulated industries because you need to know the entire data flow in order to ensure that you're applying good data practices. And it helps you debug faster and build trust and things like that. So, and the other best practice that I would say is, you have to regularly monitor data drift or data shifts and model performance, right? Because it's data quality isn't a one-time thing. You need to make sure that as your business evolves, you have some guardrails, or you have to set up some systems to detect when the incoming data changes. And when that changes, that means there is a change in customer behavior, there is a change in market condition or internal processes, and your models have to adjust accordingly. So monitoring that on an ongoing basis is going to improve your model performance, and it will also improve your data quality. Then the last but not the least, involving domain experts in your data quality and data labeling and validation. So automated tools are great, but it's context matters. So human expertise, we are not talking about replacing human. We are talking about human expertise is critical for interpreting edge cases and correcting biases, making sure AI is learning from the right signals, et cetera, et cetera. But embed data stewards and model owners into your agile squad. So if you have an agile squad, you need to embed them. One other point I would add is, every organization should look at data as a product. Because if you don't look data as a product, then you don't apply the product development process around it, right? So at the end of the day, clean and reliable data is what separates high impact AI initiatives from those that doesn't take off.
Yeah.
Because enterprises that invest, I feel, at least I feel, enterprises that invest in data quality upfront, they will see faster time to value,
Hmm.
more accurate models, and a much smoother path to scale.
Yeah, you touched upon some really, really important things, Ryan. And so I think when we started off early on, one of the biggest challenges that we faced was, so we do a lot of structured and unstructured data,
Hmm.
you know, like, when you do like IT, HR, finance stuff, you have to read the policies and
Hmm.
procedures, right? To do so, people might come in and say, "Hey, my laptop is slow," right? Like, and then you need to kind of solve for that,
Hmm.
right? Etc. Etc. So, one of the biggest challenges our customers faced was exactly what you said. Like, at the starting point, their data is bad,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So at that time, what you mentioned was use AI for building AI, right? I
Yeah.
think that's something that our customers started. They also taught us, right, over the last few years. They also taught us. Now we have built in all of those things in our pipelines. But like earlier, a few of our customers, started using AI to figure out, okay, where is overlap,
Mhm.
whereas of course with human, just like you said, it's not just like with subject matter experts on it, on always verifying and checking. And I really loved how you kind of brought that out, because I think people always talk about data governance, but what do you do with the shit you already have?
Mhm. Mhm.
It is that, right? Like it is bad. Like a lot of enterprise data, even forget enterprise data, like even Leena AI data right now, like we're a smallish company, like 200
Mhm.
people, right? Like how big are we, right? And with 7 years of we've been like around for 7 years, right? So
Mhm.
our data is really bad, to be very honest, right?
Mhm.
So that's the crap that you already have. How do
Mhm.
you start there? So I would love for you to go a little deeper, Narayanan, on this specific aspects, because that is what I think our customers face the biggest challenge in. Like when they want to start, you mentioned that you should use AI for helping train AI. So can you give some practical examples, like or anything that comes to mind you've heard of in your experience, you've read about or done whatever, about like what did you use and things that really worked out for you in that aspect?
So it's mainly, if you look at what has worked in the past and what I've heard in the past is around the pipelines. The tweaking your pipelines in order to, because majority of the times the pipelines that you create is ingesting data from multiple sources, but you need to have a validation process in between
Okay.
and make sure that the as part of the pipelines you validate the data that is coming in. um, you make sure that your data sets are clean, and you do that on an ongoing basis, just like you ingest data on a daily basis. You do that on an ongoing basis. So that is one. But I think the core of the issue is if your source data is bad,
Yeah.
like, so you need to first fix the source data, because I've seen systems where you have a free form field and people can enter whatever you want, right? So if your source data is bad, it's like the garbage in garbage out scenario.
Yeah.
And then instead of, a lot of people, they don't fix the source data, but they expect a very good data quality and data metrics and KPIs. If your source data is bad,
Hmm.
and if you don't clean that data at the source, then you have to spend a lot of money in implementing pipelines that will improve the quality of data. But that is like a band-aid. I would say invest the money and time in fixing your source data, and make sure when you fix your source data, that's what is going to drive the value and give you the accuracy that you're looking for. So that is one. The second is, I also see a lot of organizations not investing on master data management. Uh,
Right.
so, data quality is one thing. The other thing is master data. You need to identify which systems are holding your master data. You don't need to have a master data management solution, but it's important to identify the systems that is holding your master data and recognize a owner who is going to manage that master data. Because if you don't have master data, if you don't have data quality, your AI is just not going to deliver value.
Yeah, makes sense. I think touched a very important point here, and kind of this kind of begs the question about build versus buy as well. So
Mhm.
like things I think, and I would love your opinion on this. So what I've conversation I have recently with CXOs generally is, you know, uh, what do you build, what versus what do you buy? Because if you try and build for everything, you don't have enough resources or time, energy to kind of building is one issue, and then maintaining and improving, because this space is moving so fast, right? Like
Mhm.
you probably do 10 more things within like very quickly, right?
Mhm.
So what is your take on this, right? Because you have to take care of so many different things. Like we've talked about data quality, and then data governance anyway you should do, because you have to, even if
Mhm.
whether you use your own models, something else, whatever you do, you have to kind of take care of. But we talked about so many different aspects of building and kind of maintaining. a good AI solution and constantly upgrading it. What what according to you is how do you make that build versus buy decision?
So it is. There are a lot of factors in there. So I've been on both the sides. So it is actually very tailored to the organization. Right. So the number one thing, start with what is your core business. What is your core business? If your core business is technology products, if your core business is working with technology and doing a lot of things with technology, then probably a build makes sense, because you have the technical skill set, you have the technical knowledge, and you have the technical expertise to deliver on those projects, right? So, and most often than not, you would be pretty satisfied with delivering your own data quality solutions if you are a technology company. Now, if your core business is something else, and if you are a smaller shop, where you do not have the resources to scale and you do not have the resources to maintain, and you do not have the expertise, because you need some deep expertise in order to build these kind of solutions. So do you want to, the question there will be, my core business is not technology, I do not have a large team, if I need the expertise, I need to go hire someone to maintain it, then in that case, it makes more sense to do a buy rather than a build. Now, the third thing is, it is also from a financial aspect, right? Do you want to spend more capital, or do you want to have more operational expense, right? So if you do a buy, it's mainly a subscription,
OpEx.
and you do operational expenses, and you have a consistent, reliable operating expense over a period of time. If you do build, then you spend a lot of initial capital, and then you depreciate it over a period of time. So that also comes into the picture on what is your capital situation, where you want to spend more capital or you want to be more on the operational side.
No, great inputs, Narayanan. My only one question back to you would be, so let's say the core business of a company, it's a seed making company. I'm just making
Mhm,
an example, right?
mhm,
Like make seeds. So now there's a model that predicts which seed should be planted by which farmer in which geography at what time of the year on
mhm,
which day of the week, how much water should be given. Now that model, let's assume that model has to be like the company wants to create that model, right? uh,
mhm,
so who should create that model, right? Like is it the company itself, or should they go and partner with another LLM provider and then build, like what should be the thing? Because this, now see, if it is like something like some of the work that we do, for example, like IT operations, HR,
mhm,
finance, these things apply to every company. Like no, it's
mhm.
nobody's core, like it's nobody's core business, right? Like so
Yep.
it's a easy buy, right? Like there's no question about it, right?
Mhm,
But now if you are a company, you're an agriculture company, I'm just taking an example. You make seeds, you want to build this LLM to kind of, because this has direct impact on your sales, right? Like you would be
mhm,
able to go to the right farmer at the right time, educate them, and also then sell your seeds, right?
mhm.
So does it, like, who do you build or buy on this one? Is basically uh like how would you think about that?
It's again, it's about, my criteria would be, does the company have the technology resources to build and to maintain, right? So that is number one. Does the company want to invest capital in developing something custom? Because it's also, this will be a custom solution, so
Yeah.
you will have to continue to maintain. So do you want to invest your capital in developing something custom, or rather you would go buy something and then invest that capital in improving your seed development, right? So those are the things that I would ask. I cannot tell you whether I would go with a build or buy, because there are a lot of parameters that needs to be evaluated. So if the seed company that you're talking about doesn't have any technology resources. They do not have technology resources, but they have the subject matter expertise. In terms of the seeds, on what they need to do with the seeds and everything related to the seeds, they have the subject matter expertise. I would have the subject matter expertise work with a partner to build the model. And if there is a model available out
Yeah.
there, and if you can tweak that model to meet your requirements, then that would be my first path, because I don't want to invest too much of time and money to build and maintain. I would rather buy something that is available with, and I'm also of the opinion that I do not want to customize things to an extent that you get into that cycle
Support.
of maintaining and support and things like that. I would rather buy something that meets like 80% of our requirements, and you're able to configure things rather than customize it.
Love it.
So so some of those, that's what I would look at. When you look at the buy versus build, it depends on the company dynamics, where they want to invest, and where do they want the technology to take them. And also the speed to market is also important, right? So if you want something to be available right now in order to beat your competition, then you're not going to beat the competition by building something, because it's going to take time.
Yeah, I love the clarity, Ryan, and love it. Like, I just love how you've crystallized everything. Of course, there are multiple parameters. Some of them includes capex versus opex. Whether you have the IT resources in the company or not.
Mhm.
Um, Competitive advantage from a go-to-market perspective. Like, do you
Mhm.
want to market today or 2 years, right? Like,
Mhm.
I love the clarity and appreciate the input on this one, Narayan. Now, I know we're almost coming up on time. So, given your background in information security, I have one last, question for you. Uh, Balancing balancing innovation with compliance and security, right? So, how can organizations ensure they don't, stifle the speed of innovation and speed of, AI growth while adhering to stringent compliance requirements and regulations, especially in settings like healthcare, pharma, etc. And specifically when they're dealing with all of this change that's happening due to AI and agentic AI in the world today.
Yeah, that's a crucial question, and one that every organization deploying AI at scale needs to take that very seriously, right? The key over here is realizing that compliance and innovation don't have to be at odds. In fact, when approached the right way, compliance can actually enable more responsible and sustainable innovation. So the first one that I would say, the biggest shifts that I'm seeing in companies starting to embed compliance, they are starting to embed compliance into the innovation process from day one. Because majority of the times when you develop something and you try to deploy it, that will be the last minute check at the end. But right now, these days, legal, risk, data teams, they work together along with the product and AI teams early on. You get smarter and more scalable innovation with fewer surprises down the road. I also see a lot of companies are setting up cross-functional AI task forces that include CIOs, CISOs, CDOs, legal, risk, compliance, all building unified roadmaps together. That way, compliance, security, data quality are all baked in. They are not bolted on; they are baked in. And the second is transparency matters. If you cannot explain how your AI works, it is hard to prove it's fair or compliant. So building systems that are explainable, especially for AI, and auditable isn't just good governance, it builds trust, right? It builds trust and makes it easier to keep up with the changing regulations. Third thing I would say is privacy. Privacy by design, right? Privacy needs to be part of the design, not as an afterthought. It is about thinking ethically about data from the start. getting consent, using techniques like differential privacy or synthetic data, whatever, so you can innovate without putting people's info at risk. Because that is also important when you're working with innovations using AI. You need to consider privacy, you need to consider governance in order to build that trust and transparency. Finally, I feel compliance should be actually looked at it as a competitive advantage and a competitive edge, because more and more customers and partners who want to work with companies, even in a lot of organizations that I've worked for, they want the they want to work with companies who they trust, right? So if you can show that your AI is not just smart but also secure and ethical, you stand out in the market. You stand out in the market. So to summarize, it's not about choosing between innovation and compliance. It's about building a culture where the two departments can reinforce each other.
Right.
That's how I think the leading organizations will set the pace in this next chapter of AI adoption.
That's amazing, and I love the 3 points. I love how you're saying that don't think of it like, oh, something that I have to do, but
Mhm.
you know, responsibly see how that can be a differentiator,
Mhm.
actually empower you to go faster rather
Mhm.
than getting stopped in your tracks when you already started. Uh,
Because you understand your guardrails at the
yeah,
beginning itself, right? You set your guardrails in the beginning itself, and you're working with this within those guardrails. So it doesn't have to be looked at as two separate things where you have to balance. It has to go together. It has to go together, and compliance and innovation both has to go together. And also, at the same time, you can also set certain standards, set certain, so for bigger organizations, as an example, you want people to innovate, you want people to explore things, so you don't want to block them from innovating and exploring things. So what you do is you create a standard framework, you create a set of guardrails, and you disseminate that information to all the departments within the organization, and have them use those as the governing principles for their innovation work. So they get the freedom to do whatever they want, but within those guardrails, right? Within those guardrails. So in one of the instances, in one of the conferences that I attended, I also heard that some of the companies are letting the businesses make AI related risk decisions. So they are decentralizing that, because they are saying if we centralize the AI decisions,
yeah,
then it is causing a lot of friction and it is slowing down the process. So they created this framework, and then they are doing the training on AI on how to make those decisions. What are the things that you need to look for? And then they are decentralizing those risk decisions to the business units itself rather than centrally managing those. So one way of doing it, not necessarily it will work for everyone, but that is certainly one way of doing it.
I love the idea. I think decentralizing it makes sense because what I'm hearing more and more from CXOs and my conversation with CXOs is that uh, too many people with with too many whisperers in their ears already, because everyone's an AI expert right now, from
Mhm.
consultants to like everybody, like all of your
Yep.
vendor partners, everybody is a AI expert. So um, like centralizing will just like slow down the
Yeah.
organization at this point. Okay, I love the insights, Narayan, overall throughout this podcast. I think our listeners will definitely take away a lot, and will definitely find it useful, and hopefully are able to implement some of the things that we talked about in their day-to-day lives as well, and day-to-day work as well. So I really appreciate you joining us today and giving us these all of these insights and having a conversation with us. Hopefully we'll want to come back to you in a year or so and have another conversation and get an update of what's happening and what are you learning more about the industry. But thank you so much for doing this today.
Yeah, likewise. It was fun to have this discussion. And also, I want to congratulate you for what you have done for your organization, because I was just looking up at Leena AI, and it seems like you guys have grown. From I saw that in 2018, you were at a certain revenue number, and now you've almost doubled or tripled. So, congratulations to you and your team for accomplishing that. And you guys are doing some great things, and I'm sure you guys will find greater things to do as things move along. So good luck. And once again, thanks for having me over here. And I look forward to discussing with you in the future.
Same here, man. Thank you so much.